It's coming. A little slow.
Not good, huh?
Could be better. Hey, can't win them all.
But you'd like to win one, wouldn't you?
One would be nice.
I can imagine John in high school organizing bus trips to Buffalo to see a Buffalo Bills game. I think that would have been a fun bus to be on, I think.
You know, he had a natural presence. He had that kind of thing that lit up a room.
It was so much fun to be around him. He laughed so much.
The thing I'll remember most for sure is just that he enjoyed people and enjoyed life.
Well, he was just one of those kind of people that I don't care who you are, you couldn't help but love John Candy.
John Franklin Candy. He was born in 1950 and he spent his early years in King City, Ontario, Canada. John's father died when he was 5, and that early tragedy planted in the young man a fierce desire to protect and care for his loved ones.
I took on a responsibility of going to work, you know, that was the thing to do. Probably taking on the father role unconsciously as a child feeling, you know, when there's a loss of a parent. Well, I'll fill in, as children will do. You know, I'll fill it in, I'll do it. So I probably took that on. I know I did.
The roots of John's comedy were planted early, too, in the many hours he spent watching the great comedians.
When he was watching movies, you know, you and I would go and watch a movie. John would research. I mean, he was researching for sure. That's how he lived.
He was fascinated by the movies. So, as it turns out, that's probably had something to do with the fact that he was aspiring to do something. But we had no sense.
John's decision after high school to become an actor surprised everyone, but John was convinced his destiny was the stage, any stage.
Whether it's sunny or whether it's not, whether it's freezing or terribly hot, whether it's cloudy or whether it's clear, whether it's thunder or wind that you hear,
At Toronto's Tarragon Theatre, John landed the role of a Shriner in the play Creeps, and it was clear he had found his niche.
He was just so happy to be there at all. Like most of us are when we first start in this business, you know, we're prepared to do it all for nothing.
I just come from Ottawa with Valerie Bromfield, my old partner there in comedy. She had done a children's theater play, I think, with YPT or one of these groups, and where they'd, you know, go up to Bala Bay and, you know, tour around and, you know, dress as squirrels and stuff. And she said she'd met a guy there who was, he said, he's just like you, she said, you know, you're the same, you guys, you know. These, you know, big Canadian men. And one day I was walking by her apartment on Yonge Street, and, you know, she leaned out the window and said, hey, come on up, you know, this guy's here, Candy's here. And I walked up, and there was John. He was in a brown suit, and he had his brown Pontiac parked outside, and he was selling Kleenex.
He had a job with Perkins Paper. He got a LeSabre car, and he was able to go around and stock shelves. And I told him that was a real career option. I mean, he got a company car, he got to wear a suit, and he got to be a sort of a general manager of a little area. And I really thought that was the direction he should go into. Thank goodness for everybody that he didn't take it.
In 1972, Chicago's renowned Second City Comedy Theatre arrived in Toronto to conduct auditions. Every actor in town wanted to try out except John Candy. His friend Dan Aykroyd took drastic action.
We were all kind of scared because the audition was 5 characters, you know. You had to come out and walk out and, as one character, go back, and then a minute later come back as another character. And I think what we did was we said, oh, John, well, come down and watch us, you know, please come down and kind of offer some support, you know.
I was invited by Dan Aykroyd and Valerie Bromfield to join them for lunch, and they had put my name down on the list to audition, unbeknownst to me. And while I was standing around waiting for Dan and Val to finish their work there, my name was called, and they pushed me into a room.
I said, what do you got to lose? And he went up.
I was like, oh, I'll kill you for doing this to me. And I went into this theater, and I was just, oh. And they said, going up on stage there, this is a department store exercise. The object of the game is give and take. That's all we want from you. Just went, wow, the sweat was all over me.
As soon as they saw Candy on stage, you know, it didn't matter what he did. There was just a presence, you know, and I think that they were really more thrilled about getting Candy that day than they were about Valerie and I.
2 days later, they called and said, would you move to Chicago? It took me about 5 seconds to get my mouth open, and they said, you'll be there for a couple of weeks. I ended up living there a year and a half.
Of all the people I worked with at Second City, John improved the most as an actor. I think he maybe wouldn't have to because, you know, as I said, he had so much going for him just as far as presence went. A lot of actors, I think, would coast on that, but John didn't. I watched what he could do with a part, you know, and how believable he'd make it and how interesting he could make it, how he could create a true character, and really, I really credit him with being one of the best, you know.
Action! Have you heard from Caesar? Wine! Oh, not wine. It wasn't wine, it was yes. I can't work with him. You can't work with me. Yes, I can't work with you. You can't work with me. This is ridiculous. I can't stand working with you or you. What are you talking about? 7 weeks of hell, that's what it's been for me. Yeah? I can't stand this place. I am out of it. Line quit. I quit!
We used to do these improvs where John called it his room, and there were sort of like things set. The more you did John's room with him, the more you could really play, because everything was always in the same place. Blow darts on the top shelf, books in Latin in the middle over here, and file cabinet over here with information about your family. And, you know, John, in the middle of a scene, would go, you know, I have a book that, well, here, you read it. And I'd take the book, because you're never supposed to deny an improv. You take it, and he says, it's written in Latin. And, you know, you'd have to read in Latin. You'd have to make up some Latin to go with it. And he was constantly, like, you know, pushing you and egging you forward, but in a real playful way. And the audience just loved it.
As a performer, I think the Second City stage was the best for me. To work with those many people, with those creative minds, and the freedoms that we had, and it was the time and our age, and you know, we were working for nothing. We'd work a lot of hours, and didn't mind it. We had the best time. I really did. That's my fondest memories there.
I vividly remember the 43 hours we took to drive from Toronto to Los Angeles, and it was like the beginning of our dreams, you know, and that was a journey that I'll never forget. You know, we played old music, we sang, and talked, and wrote routines, and you know, focused in on what we were going to do when we got older and where we wanted to go. And looking back on that, it was one of those kind of great, you know, drives of origination, where we really focused in positively on the vision we wanted for our careers and went for it.
To John with Love is brought to you by MasterCard. No other card is accepted in more places worldwide.
When I was young, my friends and I dreamed of many things, most often a chance to be someone. This country offered me that opportunity, and I know that my decision to come to Canada was the right one. But every so often, I must return to the country of my youth, my friends, my roots.
No other card is accepted in more familiar places worldwide than MasterCard. Not Visa, not American Express. MasterCard. She's of average height and average weight. Yet, there's absolutely nothing average about her. She's what happens when a company believes safety isn't one thing, it's everything. And she is the first and only crash test dummy with that special glow. The company is General Motors.
Arsenic, cyanide, mercury, lead, ammonia, tar, nicotine. Cigarette smoke is a lethal brew of over 4,000 chemicals. And it kills 40,000 Canadians every year.
Last year, hundreds upon hundreds joined the force. When you're buying or selling, call the force in real estate. Royal LePage.
Dreams are elusive. Oftentimes they slip away. But to believe in a dream begins with having the courage to believe in yourself. Elvis, the kids of Ronald McDonald Children's Charities are proud of you. Because like you, they believe anything's possible when you have a dream.
Hey, listen up.
They asked us to host the Mother of All Junos, and we said...
Yes!
We'll get back to you, okay?
Catch the Juno Awards live March 26th.
On the CBC!
In 1976, John Candy stepped from stage to screen in the ideal Second City parody, a scathing satire on television. SCTV went on to become one of the most critically acclaimed shows of its kind and firmly established John Candy as a brilliant comedic actor.
Saturday Night Live had gone on the air already, and we were all eyeballing the United States and seeing what other work is down there. And our producers at the time figured they had to move fast, so they got a make-work project. They said, would you boys like to do a TV show? I said, yeah, all right. This was the beginnings of our knowledge in television and how we learned our craft. Never trust anyone at school.
I was in a bad hotel room in Worcester, Ohio, on tour with the Great Lakes Shakespeare Festival, and up late and not able to sleep, and turned on this thing that was called Second City TV. And the very first episode I saw was the Leave It to Beaver episode, where John was playing the beaver. What I was seeing was, it was like hearing the Beatles for the first time.
Beaver, I'm afraid you're going to have to explain yourself.
Gee, Dad, I hated him. Besides, he was always calling me a bum.
Beaver, after all I told you about taking the law into your own hands? June, call the police.
Boy, Dad!
Wally, he's just going to have to learn his lesson. Maybe 35 years in the slammer will teach the beaver something.
Boy, Wally, life stinks.
Yeah, but so do you, Beaver.
Yeah. Thanks, Wally.
Well, SCTV generally celebrated characters. I mean, it wasn't so much oriented toward jokes as character work and character observation. And I think John was the greatest character of that cast.
When you sat in a room and brainstormed, John's concepts were the best. It was John that thought of throwing the TVs out the window, and it was John who thought of half of the really kind of interesting concepts that came up on SCTV. So I thought he could do everything, and I thought he could do everything, you know, exceptionally well.
Can I be candid with you folks now? Now tell me honestly, do you think that the Oliviers of this world, the Andy Devines of this world, do you think they had to beg for a crane shot? I think. Therefore, I am not. Can you imagine Wild Bill Hancock and Jingles begging for a crane shot? Well, I had to. I had to beg for every crane shot I ever got. I had to beg, borrow, and steal. And I got plenty and nothing. Ain't nothing plenty for me. I got the sun in the morning and the moon at night.
I remember that we all got into wearing beards and wigs and mustaches and, you know, anything that kind of made our face look different, where we thought we were getting into kind of a, you know, silly look and a silly character. And John, you know, no mustache for me. I'll just, you know, act.
Hello, I'm Yash Schmengi. And I'm Stan Schmengi. And we are the Happy Wanderers.
Gene and I were writing a scene in an Edmonton hotel room when we were watching a local polka show. And we said, boy, there's our Schmengi for you. And that light bulb went on over both our heads and said, yeah, the Schmengis.
I think it was a very innocent, easy thing for us to do because it was a sensibility that we both, you know, kind of shared, which was doing comedy without a very hard edge to it. You know, a comedy where you're not really putting anybody down, where you're not making fun of anybody.
Good morning, Mrs. Valvo. Good morning, boys and girls.
Good morning, Mr. Messenger. And where are we going? Pray tell.
I'm all prepared to pick up and pound the pavement.
Oh, that's very good. Boys and girls, you see, today, Mr. Messenger and I are going off to prison, the Mellonville Maximum Security Prison. And why are we going there, Mr. Messenger?
To kill some time.
That's right, to kill some time. No, to kill some time. I want to kill some time.
I think John just kind of, in spite of himself, was just the truth, spoke the truth, he was the truth, he was authentic, he was the real thing. And I think he was blessed also with never second-guessing that, certainly in the public persona.
Well, when I think of John, I think of his generosity and his kindness. I think of someone who was very gifted, who shared those gifts with a lot of people. He was very much the family man. He loved his children and his wife.
Father Robert Hale married John and his wife Rose in April 1979. The next year, their daughter Jennifer was born, and their son Christopher was born in 1984. The role of family man fit John perfectly and enriched his life on the set of SCTV.
Still used to say it. Still used to say it.
For John Candy, life was sweet in SCTV's fictional town of Mellonville. On the air for over 7 years and garnering 13 Emmy nominations, 2 Emmy Awards, and an ACTRA Award, SCTV created a loyal following.
I was so impressed watching SCTV, the work he was doing on that, because it was so close to, it was like my town. You know, Mellonville was, I lived there, and all those characters that he did were people that I knew, and I said, I know how he's doing this.
In 1983, John left SCTV. Taking advantage of his critical success and mass appeal on television, he headed for Hollywood, where, with films like Stripes and Splash, he established himself as a comedic actor you couldn't take your eyes off.
That same old place, sweet home, Chicago. 6 and 3 is 9, 9 and 9 is 18. Look there, brother, baby, and I'll see what I see. Baby, don't you wanna go back to that same old place, sweet home, Chicago?
When I got cast in Splash, and Ron telling me that John Candy was going to play my brother, I felt as though I was working with the legendary Second City TV alumnus John Candy, and I was thrilled.
Yes, one more second, Mr. Fella. I'm in Penthouse Magazine. They printed my letter. They printed my letter.
Oh, listen, I'm very, very happy.
I'm in the forum section. The story's entitled A Lesbian No More. They printed every word I wrote. It's a beautiful story. Here, I want copies of this for everybody. Augie! Hey, good to see you.
It wasn't like working. It was just a gas. It was just this kind of fun that required us to be concentrated, that required us to be ready to do it. But that was not work. It wasn't a chore in order to get together and do this stuff.
Ho, big fella, ho. Settle down, Carol. I believe you dropped your hat, Miss Henderson.
Thank you. You saved my life.
What?
Haven't we met?
Perhaps. And perhaps we'll meet again. Yeah! She's dying for me. I love this.
It's something that you can't ask an actor to do. Either up on the screens, people are instinctively rooting for somebody or they're not rooting for somebody. And John is just somebody that people rooted for.
I'm so at home on a set. You know, just, oh yes, lamps, dirty floors, cables. I mean, I could be there all day. I think that's part of the reason why I like to work so much. I love it. Yeah, they want to do this thing.
Thing. We just get in the car and drive. What do you mean, we? I do all the driving. Oh, it can get a little wild at times, but we're prepared. This is fun. This is living. Speeding.
No other card is accepted in more exciting places worldwide than MasterCard. Not Visa, not American Express.
I guess I could use another card, but I don't.
MasterCard, your card for life.
Even with dual airbags, power windows, air conditioning, cruise control, and a powerful 6-cylinder engine, the Mazda 626 Kronos still costs less than a 4-cylinder Camry LE. So while owning a 626 Kronos isn't exactly a license to print money, it can save you a mint and give you a new lease on your financial life.
It's not just how hard or fast you work, it's how well you work. That's why the Smart Money's taking the train. Via's got the cities and downtown to downtown service. There's space to read, report, call in, or collect your thoughts. Hey, you can take highway hassles, you can take a plane, or you can take it easy with Via and arrive fresh and ready to roll.
Take a look at the train today. You're in, man. All right.
They started as friends.
Listen once. Will be a Sony release? Absolutely. And we'll use Frank's songs on the next album.
Until a business deal turns sour.
Wade has just signed the biggest rip-off deal in history.
Liberty Street, Wednesday.
Thursday at 9.
Welcome to Lakes River.
I respect her as much as you do. Betty Moses does whatever the hell she wants.
This can blow up in your face.
Whose face?
10-2 Cardinal, north of 60, Thursday.
Hi, I'm Erin Davis.
And I'm Don Daynard from CHFI.
Hey, how would you like to win $100,000 cash?
Somebody's going to win from CHFI and the builders of Springdale and Brampton.
$100,000 for anything. A huge TV.
A home full of TVs.
Even a new home in Springdale.
Everything under the sun.
And we'll even do home delivery.
Huh? No!
Listen for details. You could win $100,000.
Wow, that was $100,000?
Not quite.
Whoa!
At the Keg, we welcome you to be our guest for a night of fun, steaks on the grill, and lots of juicy details. That's why people keep coming back to the Keg. Great steaks, good friends. See you tonight.
Since 1971, John Candy had appeared in 24 films, over 160 episodes of SCTV, and spent countless nights performing on stages from Toronto to Chicago to Los Angeles. But in 1987, John's career took a decisive turn.
Do you feel this vehicle is safe for highway travel?
Yes, I do. Yes, I really do. I believe that. I know it's not pretty to look at, but it'll get you where you want to go.
Now, you got no outside mirror.
No, we lost that.
You have no functioning gauges.
No, not a one. However, the radio still works. Funny as that may seem, with all this mess, that the radio is the only thing that's really working good, and it's clear as a bell. Don't ask me how.
Planes and Trains, I read it and I went, how did he get in my head? I mean, it's as if I had written this myself, my dialogue. And when we met, we clicked.
I could do a script and give it to John, and John he'd do the final check on it. And, you know, that was, as a director, that was a great gift. You know, he really didn't allow me to make a mistake.
Del. Why did you kiss my ear? Why are you holding my hand? Where's your other hand? Between two pillows. Those aren't pillows.
See that Bears game last week? Yeah, hell of a game, hell of a game. Bears got a great team this year. They're gonna go all the way.
Uncle Buck was a perfect Candy script for me to direct because he put himself into it. When he got in the car, there's a scene where he gets in the car, he's going to take the kids to the racetrack, and he knows it's wrong. He's in the car, and he looks in the rearview mirror, and he sees these two sweet little kids that he's going to take to the track while he meets his gangster buddies, and they bet, and he can't do it. And I know when he was doing that scene that when he looked in the mirror, you know, he wasn't looking at two little actors, he was looking at two real kids. I mean, that was him, the father.
The whole attitude in acting with the two kids in the movie was based on my relationship with Jennifer and Christopher and how I would deal with them.
What time do you want me to pick you?
And I dealt with each one differently, you know, as I do with my kids, but the one thing I never talked down to them at all. And in the movie, Uncle Buck doesn't talk down to these kids. I think that's why they like him. He treats them as an equal. And they like that, and they're given that respect and that self-esteem, and that comes across.
Stand me up today, and tomorrow, I'll drive you to school in my robe and pajamas and walk you to your first class. 4 o'clock, okay?
I'm stunned that I'm related to you.
You get the pole out of your keister, we're gonna get along just fine.
Did you ever have anyone embarrass you like this?
No.
What do you do? Where do you live?
In the city.
What do you do?
Lots of things.
Where's your office?
I don't have one.
How come?
I just don't.
The interrogation scene in Uncle Buck was a change that we made. Mac came in, and it was a number of pages dialogue, and it was supposed to be fast. And Mac couldn't get through him. He's a little boy. So I thought, God, this is, how are we going to do this? John said, well, I'll say the line. Put the camera on my back. I'll say the lines to Mac, and he'll repeat them back to me.
Where do you live?
In the city.
Do you have a house?
Apartment.
On a rent?
Rent.
What do you do for a living?
Lots of things.
Where's your office?
I don't have one.
How come?
I don't need one.
Where's your wife?
Don't have one.
How come?
It's a long story.
Do you have kids?
No, I don't.
How come?
It's an even longer story.
Are you my dad's brother?
What's your record for consecutive questions asked?
38.
I'm your dad's brother, all right.
He came in on Home Alone, and if you look at Home Alone now, he's a supporting actor in the film. I mean, it appears as if he's worked on the picture for several days. We did one long 22-hour shoot with John on Home Alone. It may have gone into 24 hours. At that point, it was all a blur.
John said he was available for 24 hours, and they took him for 24 hours, I swear. We improvised for like 19 hours in that truck for Home Alone.
Mark? I just thank God for the Home Shopping Network.
Oh, really? Isn't that something else? Yeah, the wife and I use that. We're actually getting this little set of Czechoslovakian crystal. make these little figurines of reindeers. You get the 8 reindeers, and the 9th one, of course, Rudolph. They put a little ruby, it's a fake ruby, I don't know, a little red nose on it. It's cute as a button, though.
I was kidding.
So was I. So was I.
It was amazing to see a man of this stature, who was this famous of an actor, come in and just give you take after take, constantly improvising, constantly willing to do another take and another take. He just was not ever tired, not ever exhausted.
Then in Only the Lonely, to have him play a serious role that really kind of tapped further into that sad and tragic side. You know, that was another marvel to watch. You know, and he did a beautiful job with that.
What I remember about meeting Maureen O'Hara for the first time was that John and I, as film fans and film buffs, were meeting a legend. And it was an amazing moment to see these two together for the first time, because you believed that they were mother and son.
I said, I have to meet Christopher Columbus and John Candy. And I went into the studio to meet them, a little bit, you know, not sure about what they were going to be like. And I met John Candy. And 3 minutes later, I said, okay, I'll be your ma.
I'm sorry, Danny.
That's okay, Ma. You were just telling it like it is.
No, Danny. I was lying. Telling it like it is would hurt too much right now. Go. Marry that girl. Have lots of Irish Dago mutts. And every once in a while bring them to Florida to see their grandmother.
I love you, Ma.
I'm not so lovable.
True enough. I'm kidding.
We're shooting Only the Lonely. He had this great, huge trailer. You know, the production company gave him a great trailer. And Maureen O'Hara had this little dinky trailer. And John said, you know, Maureen should have a trailer like this. You know, are you kidding? She was in The Quiet Man. She worked with the Duke. How can you put her in a trailer like this, you know? And they said, well, you know, we can't afford it. You know, we want to put the money on the screen. John said, okay. I see. All right, Maureen will take my trailer, and I will be in the honey wagon. And the honey wagon, I don't know if anyone knows what it looks like, but they're like 6, 7 doors and little stairs, and just a little cot, a little teeny bathroom, and a little mirror. And the producers were just so embarrassed. They were just so embarrassed. He did it for like 2, 3 days, and then they finally got him a big trailer. And John, no, I want the money on the screen. I'm fine here as long as Miss O'Hara is fine. No, John, we found some money for the trailer. Oh, you did?
He was, I discovered, a better actor than he realized that he was. And having done a few scenes with him, I was astounded at his magnificent ability, because most people recognized him as a comedian. But he was much, much more than a comedian. He was a fine, sensitive actor.
To put your comedy tools down and go without them is hard to do. And that took a lot to do. It took a lot of guts to say, okay, I'm going to do a movie that doesn't have jokes in it. I mean, everybody wants to do a comedy, you know. Every dramatic actor wants to do a comedy, but I don't know. You know, the amount of courage it takes to really say, things that I do best, I'm going to set them aside and try something else.
When I was young, my friends and I dreamed of many things, most often a chance to be someone. This country offered me that opportunity, and I know that my decision to come to Canada was the right one. But every so often, I must return to the country of my youth, my friends, my roots.
No other card is accepted in more familiar places worldwide than MasterCard. Not Visa, not American Express. MasterCard.
Introducing the special edition Civics from Honda. With 16-valve fuel-injected engines, Honda's double wishbone suspension, and power-assisted rack and pinion steering. Now add air conditioning, AM/FM stereo cassette, center console armrest, digital clock, passenger side vanity mirror, full wheel covers, and other special features for a very special edition. So much for so little. So hurry.
2 days after Michael was born, his parents started smoking again. Oh, not much, they think. Only half a pack each a day. Not much only means that by the time Michael celebrates his first birthday, he may be exposed to the smoke from 7,000 cigarettes. No amount of secondhand smoke is safe.
If you've got no room for cat litter box odor, you need Scoop Away Clumping Cat Litter. Liquid clumps up in Scoop Away so you can scoop it and odor away. No room for odor? Just say Scoop Away.
Flat cling wrap
Helps keep food fresh.
Flat cling wrap
Is easy to use with a touch stick spot that keeps wrap at your fingertips.
Cling wrap.
So which one's the special one?
Glad Cling Wrap.
Husbands die every day, Dolores.
One of us is going to the boneyard.
They die and leave their wives their money.
Your mother's a wealthy woman, Selena.
Why can't you believe my mother?
Because she's done it before.
An accident, Dolores, can be an unhappy woman's best friend.
Kathy Bates, Jennifer Jason Leigh, Dolores Claiborne. At theaters Friday.
On a day like this, you're bound to see quite a few great performances on the ice. But few are as gripping as the Chevrolet Lumina van. Its available traction control system keeps you sure-footed even in the worst weather. Lumina van. It looks different because it is different.
Be an adventure.
Take a madcap romp with the queen of personality.
We're digging up dirt, okay?
Tracy Ullman.
Okay, enough already.
Takes on New York in her very own special tonight at 9 on CBC.
Immigration,
Who gets in, who stays out?
crime,
Is gun control the answer?
social programs.
What will the cuts mean? I'm Wendy Mesley. Join me for Issues That Matter.
Sunday Report, tonight at 10.
I could be a cold-hearted cynic like you. But I don't like to hurt people's feelings. Well, you think what you want about me. I'm not changing. I like me. My wife likes me. My customers like me. Because I'm the real article. What you see is what you get.
John, in many ways, had a big hurt inside him that he was always trying so hard, I think, to be everything to his friends, to his family, to people, and he was constantly afraid he was letting people down.
We were at a big Teamsters convention in Chicago. We made an entrance. And, you know, we took pictures and we signed autographs together. And then at a certain point, it's you got to go. You know, it's like, Mr. President, thank you very much. You know, it's like, and you leave. He couldn't leave. I mean, it took us a half an hour to get out of the damn building. And he was just signing and being really nice and giving so much energy out. And by the time he got outside, he was like beat. He just didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings.
He was always championing somebody else. And the 110% went into making somebody else's project, somebody else's life, somebody else's world better. he could have stood to give that much to himself, I think.
Turned 40, started getting anxiety, developing anxiety, panic attacks. And started to take it all down and find, step back and see what it is. And so what better way to go than through an analyst? I wish, as a child, I would have had an analyst.
I think it was getting to him a little bit, just like all of us, the choice of scripts and the trying to hustle projects and keep your name alive and keep your good reputation alive. I mean, that pressure was getting to him, no doubt.
John, though, was full of dreams and ideas, and as his star rose, he began to branch out creatively in unexpected directions.
Picture, if you will, one Mr. John Candy, who has just bought himself the world's most powerful transmitter.
Radio Candy, broadcast for 2 years out of the studio in John's Los Angeles office, resulted from his love for music. Clarence Clemens, Phil Collins, Bruce Springsteen visited Radio Candy, which aired on 360 stations across North America.
Yeah, Camp Candy was John's cartoon series where he played head counselor John Candy at his Camp Candy, and I think he had so much fun at it because he was an ultimate camper, I think he loved making kids laugh, and he liked to make everybody laugh, but kids were tough. They're not going to laugh unless it's really funny.
As John explored new directions, he became more comfortable with himself. His self-confidence increased, and he began to take full advantage of his abilities.
I think there's no question that he could have had a significant dramatic career, and he could have gone on and done bigger and bigger parts. He was excellent as Dean Andrews, who was quite a raffish character in New Orleans, John, as I've ever worked on the accent for hours, he was very concerned that his New Orleans accent be correct.
If I answer that question you keep asking, if I give you the name of the big enchilada, then it's Bon Voyage Dino. I mean like permanent. I mean like a bullet in my head, you dig? You're a mouse fighting a gorilla. Kennedy's as dead as that crab meat. The government's still breathing. You want to line up with a dead man?
Lips, Dino. Either you dance into the grandeur with the real identity of Claire Bertrand, or your fat behind's going to the slammer. Now you dig me?
You're as crazy as your mama. Goes to show it's in the genes. You have any idea what you're getting yourself into, Daddy-O? The government's gonna jump all over your head, Jimbo, and go cock-a-doodle-doo. Good day to you, sir.
I think that he had a marvelous sense of timing, and I don't make any, I never disparage comedy. I take it seriously, comedy, and I think that comedy actors are as equally valid as dramatic actors, but for some reason much of the prestige goes to dramatic actors, whereas comedy is overlooked.
You zigging, sagging. Always remember, your bones will not break in a bobsled. No, they shatter. So, who wants in?
John Turteltaub and I knew that John would bring two things to the set. One was a professionalism, which we desperately needed because the rest of the actors were inexperienced, to say the least. And the second was a sense of humor to a piece to a script where maybe the humor wasn't in the script yet. And we got both. I mean, I can't imagine the movie without John Candy. I can't imagine it without his humanity and without his heart and without his soul.
He says at one point in the movie, in a beautiful moment, he looks at the young bobsledder and says, talking about winning a gold medal, and he says, a gold medal's a beautiful thing, but if you're not enough without it, you'll never be enough with it. And I think that has a lot to do with John.
It's quite simple, really. I had to win. You see, Therese, I'd made winning my whole life. And when you make winning your whole life, you have to keep on winning, no matter what. You understand that?
No, I don't understand, Coach. You had 2 gold medals. You had it all.
Therese,
A gold medal is a wonderful thing. But if you're not enough without it, you'll never be enough with it.
Do you know, Irv Blitzer was a guy who had a really stellar career, had won some gold medals, and then made some mistakes and wasn't welcome anymore. He wasn't welcome anymore in the world of Olympic bobsled racing. And I think in some ways that John had felt that way also, that he was felt out of the core of the Hollywood decision-making, if you will. And I said, trust me, your body of work is extraordinary. You've made thousands, millions of people laugh.
Yes! All right! Cut it. That's a cut. Now people are going to see me and go.
I'm going through that point in my life, I think right now I'm sort of reflecting and looking back and going, well, I've done this so far, and what do I want to do now? I've done very well. You know, life is too short. I don't need to, you know, this is a real place. These are real people around me. And you got to do real things every day. You've got responsibilities. You know, I chose that life. A lot of people don't want responsibilities of family, home.
It's an annual thing. We just get in the car and drive. What do you mean, we? I do all the driving. Oh, it could get a little wild at times, but we're prepared. This is fun. This is living. Speeding.
No other card is accepted in more exciting places worldwide than MasterCard. Not Visa, not American Express.
I guess I could use another card, but I don't.
MasterCard, your card for life.
Yes, it's a good day for singing a song, and it's a good day for moving along. Yes, it's a good day. How could anything be wrong? A good day from morning till night. And it's a good day for shining your shoes, and it's a good day for losing the blues. Everything to gain and nothing to lose. A good day from morning till night. I said to the sun, good morning, sun. Rise and shine today. 'Cause it's a good day for paying your bills, and it's a good day for curing your ills. So take a deep breath and throw away the pills. 'Cause it's a good day from morning till night. 'Cause it's a good day from morning till night.
There's something exciting at McDonald's this month.
Are you gonna buy that Porsche? Come on, can you stride? Cool. Right on. Cool. Right on. You're toasting the moguls, too. Yeah, I'm wearing your socks. Look, there's the cow. Cool. Hey, Mark,
It's the Bacon Triple Cheeseburger with bacon, 3 100% all beef patties, and 2 slices of processed cheese.
Go to Florida. Shovelboard. Dad's got a 35. Another cow. Cool. Are your skis wet? Mine are wet. My jacket's a bait mag.
Order it as part of an extra value meal and get a free peanut butter O. Henry. The Bacon Triple Cheeseburger. It brings new meaning to the term March break.
This is a test lab, unlike any other. The company that created it doesn't come here to watch if their products pass. They come here to watch them fail. Because when your goal is engineering automobiles to deliver the ultimate in durability, one company believes you never know what is enough until you know what is more than enough. The company is General Motors.
What does it take to sell your home? Power. A sign everyone knows. One that opens your door to buyers. Power. At Century 21, the best trained agents work hard to get you the best price. Power. The world's largest referral network. When word gets out, your house can sell faster. And only with Century 21 can you earn up to 1,500 air miles travel miles when you buy or sell. List now and get 100 bonus travel miles. Century 21. Don't underestimate the power.
Hey, listen up.
They asked us to host the Mother of All Junos, and we said...
Yes! We'll get back to you, okay?
CBC presents the Juno Awards with Canada's top performers live. Celebrating the night Canadian music comes home. The Juno Awards.
We'll be there live in Hamilton.
Rock and roll capital of the world.
Brought to you by Geo.
On the CBC.
To John with Love is brought to you by MasterCard. No other card is accepted in more places worldwide.
In 1991, John realized a childhood dream, becoming part owner of the Toronto Argonauts of the Canadian Football League. He brought to the team and the league the same magic already associated with John Candy.
Yeah, I think he grew up watching the Argonauts. He loved CFL football, and loved playing. I think a knee injury sort of ended any future of him playing college football or anything like that. It really gave him a chance to be, on field level with a game that he really loved and had loved his whole life.
Of course, John did all this PR for the CFL. I mean, he was in the stands signing autographs. He was riding around the football field in a fire truck throwing footballs in the stands, having a great time. But the best moment by far had to have been the time that we were doing the awards show in Toronto, and John was one of the presenters, and John came out with this big sign that said, "Argo season tickets." He was walking around TV waving this sign, and I remember saying to him after, I said, "You got a lot of guts." He said, "Hey, this is business, we gotta go for it."
It was funny, we'd go into stadiums and they'd announce the Toronto Argonauts starting lineup, and they'd boo us harder than they boo anybody, and all of a sudden they'd say, "Now, and here's the owner, John Candy," and all of a sudden he'd get a standing ovation everywhere we went. So it was kind of ironic that, the crowds disliked Toronto, but they loved John Candy.
He was like a Roman emperor. They were on their feet screaming, and all he was doing was walking around. He was there in their presence, in the presence of 60,000 some people, and that was just drove people wild that he was just near them. He was a real hero.
1991 was a storybook year for the Toronto Argonauts. The team won the Grey Cup, the symbol of Canadian football supremacy. And once again, John Candy was turning dreams into reality.
People would say to me, "Tell me about John." And the thing about John was that I always say to people, what you saw on the screen was basically John. He was fun-loving. He went out of his way to make people happy. Always wanted to help the unfortunate, always tried to help charitable causes.
Since 1989, the Motion Picture Foundation of Canada has initiated many fundraising projects through the assistance of the film, television, and video industries. Hi, I'd like a box of popcorn, please.
John's generous spirit seemed to know no boundaries. He always found time to support causes where he thought he could make a difference, especially those that involved children.
Hey, aren't you Grizzly Adams?
No, I'm not Grizzly Adams.
Well, then get out of my feet.
He's involved in these kids. These kids are essentially suffering from cancer, in most cases terminal cancer. Meaning these kids don't have long to live. He had been approached, I guess, somehow to become involved with them, and there was a big group of them, and the wish these kids had was to meet John and myself, the two guys from Splash. And because it came from John, I said, "I'll be there. Tell me when." The Ninja Turtles are there, and there's pizza and there's cake, and these kids. And John footed the bill. He did it all. It was an easy thing for him to do. It was never something that could any way at all be construed as being some sort of self-serving moment.
Action!
Hostage for a Day, a TV movie written and produced by John's company, was a natural next step in his evolution as a filmmaker and his desire to face new challenges. Not only did he perform in the film, Hostage for a Day marked John's debut as a director.
To direct, you have to have a good understanding, you have to be a good storyteller, you have to be very comfortable within yourself, and I think I'm reaching that point that I felt, yes, I can do this, and without any trepidation that I'm not going to be having panic attacks and freaking out, and I feel very comfortable with who I am, and that's what you see is what you get.
And I remember knowing at the time how great it was, that there was something so special about this time. There was a light around it.
Hey, look, Andre! The little dog is following us! What are you doing here? Hey, come here, you! Ow! The dog is vicious. You're a little cute dog. Don't bite people like that. Don't growl at me. Why are you growling? Oh, Beauty! Help me with this! I'm sorry, I'm afraid of the kitten now. Why is it like this? Yuri, he's dead, he's banged! Help me!
I'm reminded of my experience in Hostage when we were sitting in the Jag one day waiting for a shot to be set up, and it's a beautiful fall day. The top is down, the radio is playing, you know, a song from our youth, and everything is right with the world. And suddenly John turns to me and he says, "Frank, isn't this the greatest job in the whole world?"
And cut. Print. Beautiful.
Excellent, my liege.
Wagons! East!
Wagons East was John Candy's 43rd motion picture in 22 years. And it was here in Durango, Mexico, March 4th, 1994, where John Candy, at the age of 43, passed away peacefully in his sleep.
It is like losing a friend, isn't it? Nothing but sadness this afternoon, and praise with the news that actor John Candy has
will
died.
undoubtedly live on in all of our hearts and minds for a long, long time through his many endearing roles.
Films, on stage, or in person, Candy knew how to make people
John
laugh.
Candy is being mourned this afternoon.
He seemed to generate a field of energy around him that made you laugh. There was never a mean streak in his humor.
Oh, when will I never know I'll believe in the story you told me so?
I think of John in terms of the big picture. John's life had meaning. John had principles. He lived by them. He worked by them. He set a good example in so many ways. He was a protector. He cared. If he felt you'd been wronged in any way, he'd risk everything to make it right, to make you know you were worth something too. In a business that indulges the weaker souls, where the insecure lend others' words far too much meaning, John was a humble, sensitive man, full of faith, who seemed forever grateful for his gifts and his time on this earth. Thank you, John.
Good evening. Have you read the newspaper lately? Or watched the news on the TV? This one fighting that one. This one invading the other one. Hostages taking here, terrorists bombing there, hijackings over here, towering infernos everywhere. The world is in a mess. And there's sweet diddly you can do about it. My only advice to you is, when everything gets you down, you get up and mambo!
I think he will live forever, you know, on film and that, but people are not going to forget John Candy. He was a king. He would have been a good king. He was a good king. He was a king of comedy.
I'll never be able to laugh like that with someone again. That connection is lost because it truly was like having a brother.
I think what makes one great is how much they're loved by the world, and everybody loved John.
This is CBC, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. Investigation of a death by fire, Monday on the CBC Evening News. More to the story.
Tonight on CBC, a special